I won't dim my light for no one.
Welcome back to the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast. Every week I want to bring you a little mini episode where I share something that's been on my mind, something that's really present for me. I love having guests, but sometimes I find that I have these quirky, fascinating ideas that I want to share. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to this Minisode of the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast. So what's on my mind today is that I've been working on my, I'm not quite sure what to call it. I've been working on my keynote concert, I guess I could call it, where I talk about authenticity and being real. And I've been introduced to some really incredible stories as I have been looking for some great content for this speech. And one of the things that I found that I really, really love that has just been super eye-opening to me is the story that I want to tell you today. My dad sent me this reel on Instagram, actually, and it was this person who was talking about an experiment that was done. I want to say it was in or somewhere around 1990, possibly in the 1980s. I need a date for it, but it was done at Dartmouth College by Dr. Robert Kleck, who is a psychologist. And he did a study that was essentially an experiment about how people perceive themselves and how it affects the way that other people will treat them. Basically, how what you believe about yourself, how your own self-worth affects the way that other people treat you. Because it turns out that it's like a gigantic factor. If you have really low self-worth, if you believe that you are ugly or have something wrong with your appearance, other people are going to treat you more. You're going to believe at least that other people treat you more negatively based on your belief that you are unattractive or something like that. So for this experiment, they call it the SCAR experiment. This researcher gathered up, I want to say it was just women, and you can totally go do more research into this project and into this experiment that was done. I kind of have just like a vague overview of it, which in my opinion is totally good enough. But, if you want to go do more deep diving into what it completely entailed, then feel free, go ahead. But basically, this researcher gathered these women together and put a makeup scar on their face, like a fake special effects scar on their face, and then had them look in the mirror to show them what the scar on their face looked like. And because it was special effects, it looked real. And because I've been studying makeup and now I'm teaching makeup, I know that they make these tattoos. They make these like fake tattoos, like those little ones that you can just like put on with like water, and they look really, really real. Like they're that easy to put on. It just is like one of those little kid like fake tattoos. So you can put them on very easily with just like water on your face, and it can look like this really garish like scar on your face. So they put these on to the faces of these women so it looked like they had these horrific scars, and then they looked in the mirror to see what their appearance looked like, and they, were clearly horrified that they had these scars on their faces. And then they took the mirrors away, and they said to these women, okay, we're going to seal on this scar. And when they went to seal the scar on, they actually were removing it. Because again, if it's just like a little kid's like tattoo, basically, if it's just like a removable tattoo, you can really easily remove it with just like alcohol, right? So when they told these women they were sealing it on, they were actually removing it. But these women didn't know it, and they had taken the mirrors away. So then they sent them out in public to go have conversations with people, live life, do something ordinary, right? And then come back and have a discussion with the researchers about what their experience was. And what was amazing was that every single woman in this experiment, because they all thought that they were going out in public to, like, with scars on their faces, because this was an experiment about how the things that we think about ourselves affect how other people treat us, right? Or how we perceive other people treat us. So these women thought that they were going out in public with nasty scars on their faces that looked real. And when they came back in from this experiment, remember that the scars had actually been removed, but they didn't know it. When they came back in from this experiment, every single participant said that people stared at them, that people were more rude than they typically were before, in their real life when they didn't have a scar on their face. And the number one thing that they all said was that every person they spoke to stared at the scar on their face. The scar that had been removed that wasn't really there, but that they thought was there. Every person in this experiment was perceiving that the people that they were talking to were staring at the scars on their faces that didn't exist. And isn't this just mind-blowing? And what it tells me is that what's real is actually just what we believe. What we perceive is quite possibly the most important component to reality. Like, we control reality with our brain. And very, very often we look around and we're like, no, what I'm perceiving in the world, that's what's real. That's what's actual fact. That's what makes up reality. I see it, and that's what makes it truth. But our perceptions are so distorted. They are so colored by our thoughts and by the things that are taking shape in our brains that may or may not, be colored by beliefs, especially beliefs about our own self-worth. And I just feel like this is such an important topic, because how often are we holding ourselves back because we think that we can't do something, or we think that we are small. We think that we are not good enough, that we don't have what it takes, that we are inadequate in some way. I mean, I do this all the time. And it's what's so helpful is to recognize those thoughts and to go, wait a minute, maybe that's not true. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. Just because you perceive it doesn't make it fact. If you think that people are staring at you, if you think that you are perceiving other people doing something specific, you could be perceiving wrong. It might not be real. It could just be your bias picking up on something that isn't even there. That's what this experiment really shows us, is that we are looking for specific things, and truthfully that we will find what we are looking for. And that's true in just about every area of life. We will find what we are looking for. If you are looking for people to be staring at the scar on your face, you will find it, even if that scar isn't real. If you are thinking that everyone is probably looking down on you, that they probably think that you look too young, or that you look too old, or that you are inadequate, or that you can't do X, Y, and Z. That's what you're going to validate with your perceptions. And then the opposite is also true. If you come at life with the attitude of, everybody loves me, everybody thinks that I am just rocking at life, I've got this, and everybody knows it, that's what you're going to be validating with your perceptions. And I'm pretty sure that the truth is that all of it exists. It's just that what you are validating with your perceptions, that's what you're picking up on the most. And what's the most helpful? Is it the most helpful for you to pick up on the stuff that hurts or the stuff that helps? I personally need a lot more bolstering than I do, the put downs and the not good enough. So I feel like I give myself enough of that each day that I need to really start focusing on the ways in which I'm awesome. I need more of that in my life because so far I haven't been giving myself enough of it. Are you? That's my question for the day. What is your bias? And how can you do a better job of looking for the ways in which people are lifting you up and telling you how great you are? It's there. You just have to do a better job of perceiving it. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Multi-Passionate Mama Podcast. I know that we can never be told too many times how amazing we are, so in case you haven't been told today, you are a freaking rock star. When you let yourself shine, you allow other people to take off their filters and shine brightly too. It's about time someone gave you permission to be all of you. If you enjoyed this show, please leave me a review and hit that subscribe button. I know you want more of this. Sharing is caring. Let someone you love know how incredible they are by texting them the link to this episode. They will feel so good just knowing that you thought about them. Lastly, if you want to know more about my courses and coaching, be sure to check out my website for up-to-date details on everything I have available. It's caroleegarrison.com and the link is in the show notes. Always remember that you are a diamond. Don't let anyone dim your sparkle.